Hi, ever wonder what it's like to work another profession or live in the underworld? Listen to unsuspecting riders give a 10 to 15 minute personal masterclass as I spontaneously interview them as they enter my taxi. I'm your host, Simon Rushton, and this is Taxi Chronicles. Yeah. Morning. Yes, we're back with another episode, another lovely rider. If you heard the other podcasts about the arts jobs, it turns out me and the lovely lady have something in common. Yes, we're both adopted. We're both adopted by middle class white people, and we're just going to talk about our experiences. So nice to have you here today, Sally.
Thank you again.
Okay. So, tell us about your experience. What age were you adopted for?
Sure, so I was 6 months old when I was adopted, so very, very young. Oh, really?
Well, I was put into a children's home at 6 months.
Ah!
Yeah.
Gosh, but yeah, so 6 months old, and my parents are, both white British, flew to China, adopted me, and then, I grew up in the UK.
Okay. Well, my story's, I was born in the UK, 6 months. Then put into care. I had rickets, and then I was in hospital for 6 months, and they got me off the rickets. I don't know how to put it. Gave you whatever they give you, feed you, put you in the sun, whatever. I don't know, and that kind of thing and stuff. But what I was talking about earlier about the one child policy is my adopted father. He's like a professor. And he's got an OBE from the Queen for social, like one of his books. He's done about 10 books because he's a researcher, really.
Amazing.
He lectures, but he's retired now.
Yeah.
And what he did this book where he interviewed 500 different Chinese people who were all adopted, but they're all my age. I believe I'm a bit older than you. Not in a patronising way, but and he interviewed them to ask them how do they, just about how the whole process was for them, adoption, and he asked them how they felt about the whole adoption situation, and he said the ones who were married and had jobs and were successful were like, I don't really care about my family, my birth family. If they didn't know me, they didn't want to know me, then good riddance to them. I've got my husband's family and everything's okay. I've got a career, I've got my kids. But the other ones, and he said there wasn't that many because there was 500 he interviewed. He said, and this is obviously some 20, 30 years later, and he said those ones who weren't doing well in life were really angry. There's angry with their adopted parents, there's angry with their birth parents, there's angry at the world. And it's very, very interesting because as me personally, I'm not angry. I like to think I'm not angry. I don't know, how do you...
I mean, I'm not angry at all, to be honest. I have had such an amazing, wonderful life with my adopted parents. There's nothing that I guess I can be angry about because I have been so fortunate with my family that, who knows how my life could have been if I hadn't been adopted or if I'd still been with my birth family. If anything, I just feel so grateful having such a loving and caring life that's, made me into the person I am today.
I was having a conversation, I think yesterday or today, about that to somebody, saying that I think it's my aunt, my birth aunt. So I know my birth father's family. I know quite a few. I came from a very large family. My birth mother was one of 15, and my birth father, he was one of 10, and like his mum was one of 14, and even his mum, like his aunts, all had a minimum of 10 children. So there's a lot of us. So retrospectively, I should have been adopted at all. But it's like, what would I do wonder, like, what would things have been like if I hadn't been adopted?
Yeah.
But then I look at my family members who are about my age and stuff, and I think it could have gone either way. But I kind of think I don't ponder on the past.
Yeah, exactly.
Look forward to how the future could be.
Exactly. I mean, the person that you are today, there is a reason you are that person, and if you're happy with who you are, then you can only be grateful for the upbringing you've had, and that means your adopted parents have done something right. They've given you a life that you love and you enjoy.
Did you find a disconnect at any time at all? As in, I was at school, I was a minority by far, as in there's 2 other black children in the whole school, by my sister. And so later on in life, as I got to teenage and the police start to do what they do and everything, my adopted parents didn't really understand, and they didn't know how to address them. Did you find any disconnects?
I guess I was quite lucky in that, from day one, so because my sister and I are both adopted from China, and since day one my parents have been very supportive and embraced Chinese culture. So we've celebrated Chinese New Year every year. I remember as a child having storybooks with Chinese main characters, or stories that talks about classic Chinese culture. So they very much they tried to bring that into to us growing up, and they never tried to separate it. It was always, yes, you are from China and you were born in China, but look how amazing China is, look how much culture there is, and you should be so proud of that, and now you get to be part of 2 cultures. It's not just that, you're so much more than that.
That's interesting, because I didn't get it talked negatively about Africa, but I didn't hear, or Caribbean per se, but I didn't get any talk.
Yeah, I think it's so important, because especially, yes, when you look different to your parents, it's very obvious. It's not like the TV show moments where suddenly they turn around and they say, by the way, you're adopted, and the dramatic drum roll takes place. It's like, no, you always know that there is something different, but that's what makes you special. That's what makes you interesting and important, and it's so vital to embrace that as part of you and who you are, who you are today.
When you was in school, did you ever have any issue? Did you go to a school where you're there's predominantly all white English? Or?
Yeah, it was predominantly white English, and I think that, yes, you had, if anything, it was more children, being racist without knowing that they are being, asking silly questions, or making fun of your eye shape or your face shape or things like that. More that than necessarily oh, you're adopted, what does that mean, etc. But like I said, I think I was incredibly fortunate to grow up in such a loving family where we openly talked about this all the time, and we were always told it's something you should be proud of.
So when you complained did you ever complain to your parents about the kids being horrible?
Yeah, I definitely did, and they were just supportive, and they would say, obviously, pay them no mind. They just don't know any better, and they're not lucky enough to have experienced something like this. And of course, if it was too extreme, then they would get involved as well and speak to the school and everything. But thankfully that wasn't really the case. It was more that just no, it doesn't matter what they're saying. You be you are who you are, and it's a wonderful thing.
It's funny because I was having a conversation with someone else a while ago, and we used to, when I was in primary school, we used to play a game called Chase the Chocolate. Now the funny thing was, obviously, I was really fat, because after rickets, they really the hospital really made me fat, because they overfeed you to get you healthy. And my doctor man used to always dress me in brown for whatever reason. I used to run around the playground. Everybody used to try and chase you, and touch you, to say Oh, I caught it. Yeah, I caught the chocolate.
God.
Now you think, oh no. But then I used to like it because I was the centre of attention.
Yeah.
And I was running around, and I always used to. They said, "Wear brown tomorrow," and I said, "Yeah, I'm going to wear brown. Don't worry, you're not going to catch me."
God.
And I lost a lot of weight. I got into shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, as well, because I used to really run and do all that dodging stuff and everything. And my friend always reminds me, my friend, he lives up in Cambridge now, we have a joke about it. But I never realised, even then, I didn't think of I was different until one day there was a kid called Ben, and I don't know what I had done to upset him, but he really let it rip about I was different, and black this and that and all this. He was really upset. I can't remember what I'd done. And I was taken back. I wasn't angry. I was more confused. And then I thought, oh. And then from that day on, I realised, oh. Because then, at that age, I just thought we were all children. I didn't see the colour. I didn't see this or anything. I just saw us as children. But he brought that into my realisation. And then, you kind of move on in life. And then later on, when the police, then I started to see, there is an issue. There is an issue here. And the problem is, if you don't have parents who can explain and guide you with things go out of hand and stuff. But that was just my experience.
Yeah.
Stuff. Did you ever get taken to China for holidays?
Yes, we went to China. I think it was when I was quite young, like under 10. We actually went with this agency. I think it was an American agency, and they specialized in tours for families who had adopted children from China. So you would see all of the main sites, but then also they organized tours for where you could go and visit the orphanages where your children were adopted from. And of course it was completely up to the child. So I know that at the time I didn't want to go, I wasn't comfortable with it. And I told my parents I didn't want to see it, and that was absolutely fine. But my sister, who was 2 years younger, said that yes, she did actually want to go and see the orphanage where she came from. So they organised that as part of the tour, and we went to see it. We met with the directors of the orphanage. We had a lunch. Yeah,
I went with her.
Go. Well, I didn't want to go to my own orphanage. I think at the time I just wasn't ready.
You wanted to support her.
Yeah, but I was more than happy to go with her, and we all had lunch with the directors, and I think it was just an opportunity for her to see where she came from. But yeah, at the time I didn't think I could do it.
What do you think the fear was? Was it something about maybe you bumped into your real birth parents?
No, I think it was too, I don't know, I was so happy with my life, with my family, and the idea of something being different to that, or something like the possibility of changing it, even if you were just visiting it, external to the situation, it was that, this could have happened or this could have happened. And I didn't like to think about that because I loved my life with my family, and I just didn't want that, any question to come into my mind. So I'd rather just not think about it, not go. And I just wasn't ready.
Okay, so you wouldn't change anything?
No.
That's great. And you've been happy?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're successful in the world of art?
Hopefully.
You love. Do you indulge in Chinese art?
Yes, I love Chinese art, and when I went to university I first started with studying Chinese, and then later changed my course to Chinese and history of art.
Do you speak Chinese? Mandarin?
Only from university, and it's very, very rough.
Okay.
But yeah, I loved it, and I thought, if I want to learn a language at university, it would be nice to embrace that part of my culture, and I'm so glad that I did.
Okay, that's interesting. Is there, I was thinking, I wonder if there's a social media, like a Facebook page for people who've been adopted in your circumstances, because I was thinking maybe it's a good idea to start one. I can start one for me, for people adopted, because it's good that when people can all have a chat at times, things like that.
To be honest, I actually don't know of any. I know there is a program that runs that's specifically for children who are adopted from China, but I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But I actually don't know of any like wider social networks that are specifically for just children adopted in general.
Yeah. Is it further down?
It's just here.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot for that. That's a superb interview.
Of course.
And we've both been able to reflect and have a discussion. And I wish you well in your future endeavours.
Thank you.
We hope you liked that interview. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to get the latest daily episode. Ever considered investing in the continent with the fastest growing economy and population on Earth? The same continent that holds 30% of the world's known natural resources? Then listen to our sister podcast, Africa Investor Stories, where you will hear real investors with real stories from around the world share their experience of investing in Africa. We post Monday and Thursday at 10 a.m.